the chapter Ches?
We have started this a few times, but I never got through to the final point. REBBE is now transporting the different points that we were discussing regarding how the worlds differ from one from the other, that it's an essential difference rather than a functional difference. She says that a similar thing is in other yonim, in oil and in spheres and so forth. And here he says, as for example, chochmah and binah. Chochmah and binah, we think, are functional elements. Nonetheless, there is an essential distinction with here. Hine, behold, ha-chochmah be'etzem, as explained last time, there was a little bit of a distraction in this explanation, but I want to repeat this. The word hine has a tremendous implication. Hine means behold, which means that if you listen carefully, both to what you're being told and to what how it touches you, how you understand it internally, you will find that this is just a plain reality. Just all you have to do is to behold it. Behold, like you're being shown something. Behold, ha-chochmah be'etzem, the chochmah be'etzem in essence, he lemaylo mi-ha-taam, is above hasod. What is this add? What is the be'etzem add to this general statement? Chochmah mi-ha-taam. In the general statement, ha-chochmah is mi-ha-taam. One could argue that there is different kinds of chochmah. There's a chochmah, there's a mi-ha-taam. And if you touch upon this chochmah, you will not be able to comprehend it. But essentially, you can have a chochmah that is comprehensible. So when this Rebbe says be'etzem, in essence, the definition of chochmah is that it is above hasod. It does not lend itself to be grasped and fully comprehended. Hagam shebekol mokom. Again, I'm repeating what he said. The end of the time I have to kind of research it. That this bechol mokom, I think it was meant to say mikol mokom. But even so, b'chinas ha-chochmah hi b'chinas idiyah. The aspect of chochmah is b'chinas idiyah, is within the realm of knowledge. Loy l'maylo mi-ha-taam v'adas l'gam, not above reason and knowledge altogether. It is a noble element, although it cannot be fully comprehended. What does it mean? It's not above knowledge. As for example, b'chinas ha-kesser be'etzem, the b'china of kesser. Again, I'd like to call your attention and just to arouse our thoughts. When it said before chochmah, ha-chochmah, then say b'chinas ha-chochmah, ha-chochmah be'etzem. When it comes to kesser, b'chinas ha-kesser be'etzem. Why the word b'chinas over here? It is to imply that kesser is not an entity that you can actually discuss. It does not have parameters. The yin of chochmah, kesser, is known not directly, but indirectly. B'chinas ha-kesser, the aspect of kesser. There is not a tangible element that's called kesser. It's a non-existent existence, so to speak. Again, to make it more palatable, are you saying it's a non-existent existence? That is a direct reference to the principle that everything is a divine creation. And everybody understands, to whatever degree we understand, but everybody knows and clearly relates to it, that godliness is not knowable, is not an end, not a presence. Now the Rambam expresses it in very simple terms. Motzui Rishon. No one can comprehend the principle of Motzui Rishon of first being. Therefore, there are emanations from this first being that, in a certain sense, reflect his truth. And in Sphira, this is called the kesser. The kesser be'etzem, the kesser in essence, where kesser is totally above reason and knowledge. It's not a knowable entity. And here the Rebbe is going to explain a little bit. Thank you very much. As the inyan, the principle of Ratzon, will.
So this is explaining what now?
The kesser. Kesser, that is an essence above reason and knowledge. You cannot know what it is that you're experiencing in kesser. In essence, it's not a knowable thing. Not because it's higher than your knowledge. It's by definition, its whole presence is not. I said its presence is a non-presence. And here the Rebbe is going to actually expose us to this principle. K'moi inyan horotzin, as the inyan of Ratzon. And as we shall see, Ratzon, will, the true principle of Ratzon, is really a totally non-existent presence. It's not an entity. It's not a tangible entity at any level. There is not a distinct presence of Ratzon. Shezehu, what the meaning of Ratzon is, it is Rag hatoyo v'hamshoch as ha-nefesh le'ezeh dover. Hatoyo means the leaning, v'hamshoch as ha-nefesh, and the drawing of the nefesh. The nefesh is drawn le'ezeh dover, to something. Bli shum yidio klal, without any knowledge at all, mi-ha-taam, of any reason why it's drawn to it. Ratzon, and we have to discuss it a little bit because we are used to using the word Ratzon in a totally different level, a totally different framework. I want is in a practical sense, it definitely has a cause. What is it that I want, and what am I going to do with that which I want when I get it? The mi-ha-taam per se, to put it in perspective, Ratzon does not need any further satisfaction. In other words, I want something, and if you grant it to me, then I'm going to have it. This is not the true inyan of Ratzon. If I'm hungry and I want to eat, if we kind of focus in on this simple statement, I want to eat, you will see right away. I don't want to eat per se. I have something compelling me to eat. So the word want, in the real sense of the word want, is a borrowed term, which is not a correct way of describing the inyan of Ratzon. I want something temporarily until it gets satisfied. Ratzon is a koyach ha-nefesh that cannot be satisfied and then I don't have it. On the contrary, if one loses Ratzon, he loses life. Ratzon in life is synonymous. And it cannot be satisfied to the point where you no longer want.
Like the Ratzon to live.
As an example. So the Rebbe explains, what is Ratzon? Ratzon is not a koyach. Amit is a inyan the Ratzon. Amit the truth of Ratzon. I'm sorry, I skipped a little bit. I skipped.
You said Ratzon is a koyach and nefesh, and now you're saying it's not a koyach?
That's right. How do you like that? Take me to court.
How do you explain it?
I can't. The way to explain it, I can't explain it. Nonetheless, how do we relate to that statement? Like you correctly stop me. You say it's a koyach and it's not a koyach. Is it a koyach or it's not a koyach? And if I'm going to talk in riddles and contradict myself, so what are you talking about? You're not telling me anything. The answer is, I'm not talking to your knowledge, I'm talking to your deeper sense of the truth, of Seichel. Where Seichel, like chochmah, and even AYIN chochmah, you know without knowing. I'm going to give you a very gross, challenging question. Although it's obvious, nonetheless, it's a challenge to try to explain it. I said many times, we are constantly involved in satisfying our needs. I'm hungry, I'm going to satisfy the hunger. I need parnosa, I need to pay rent, I need whatever, all kinds of things I need, and I'm working towards satisfying all of these needs. So now I have, so to speak, a kind of point blank, you would think a completely out of that question. If all your needs for 120 years were to be compiled in one capsule, may the capsule be as big as a house. And then this house is sent off to space. And you go on circling the earth without any disturbance, indefinitely. But you will not ever need anything. Whatever you need, it's a stretch of a hand. Would that be an option? Hello? Would that be an option? Would that satisfy all your needs?
Seems like something would be missing.
No kidding. What would be missing? If I give everything, what we're missing?
Like desire.
Desire. I know what you're saying. Please, this is not a play on words. It's a question that is supposed to arouse a deeper insight. So just to give an answer is not the point of the question. What in fact is the difficulty in this question? we all realize, in terms of kind of an answer to the question, that everything that I want is predicated on the principle that I'm in the world. That is, take it for granted, that is the basic reality. I'm floating in space. All my wants dissipate. Not because my wants don't dissipate. Because there's no point to the wants. I want to eat so that I'll be healthy, so I'll be participate in the world. I'll be a real participant. If I'm in space and I'm satisfied and not hungry, what have I accomplished? I'm nowhere. This is what the Rebbe is explaining over here. Let's follow the words. In mi-ha-taam, okay, this is now the fifth line from the top on page Peches. Shezehu, which is rak, only, hatoyas v'hamshochas hanefesh, the leaning and the drawing of the nefesh lays it over to something. The nefesh is drawn to something. B'li shum idea klal, without any knowledge, mi-ha-taam, of any cause and any reason. The illustration that we now pointed out is a valid illustration, because nobody can explain what is it that you're missing. I gave you everything, and yet you're totally unhappy, totally unsatisfied. You say, take everything back, just bring me back to earth. Is that correct? Am I speaking for everybody?
Yeah, of course.
Are you speaking for everybody?
Of course.
Hello? The artist agrees. Did you ever listen to the artist analysis in class?
I couldn't find it.
Oh, shucks. Okay. And the reason this is so, the reason that this is so, please understand the following. This is even more subtle and even deeper and even truer. Our presence over here is preceded. Preceded means prior to our presence, there is something that precedes it, that comes before. What is it? That how Hashem wants us to be here. We have a godly mission to be here. Our presence here is preceded by the godly mission, will that we should be here. If we miss out on this godly mission, then there is no significance to our being here. We are creations. We are divine creations. And the minute we open our eyes, we see right away we are somewheres where the Creator put it. This is a reality. It's a divine reality. It's not something we came by choice. It represents the divine definition of our present, of our existence. We are here to be here. That's the definition of our being. I'm going a little bit too deep, but I'm sure after all these weeks and years, we can follow these subtle inferences. The nefesh ha'adam will not accept any substitute, no matter how comfortable, and are satisfying in terms of other functional levels than to being in the real world. Why? Because that's the divine definition, and that's a definition of His presence much greater than the physical presence, than the worldly presence. It's a divine presence. And if he loses sense of his divine presence, then he loses everything. Do I still have you with me? I'm sure I do. You may not know it, but I know. This is a representation of the term Ratzon. Amit is in your Ratzon. Ratzon is a nefesh leaning to something. Bli shum idea, without any knowledge. I'm back inside. 5 lines with top. Bli shum idea klal beis atam, without any knowledge of any reason for what draws the nefesh there. A tam and a reason would mean some kind of an isolated experience. But this is beyond an isolated experience. It's a truth beyond identification. And the reason there is a truth beyond identification, that Daniel, this is an answer to the question, is because this is something which is granted by God Himself. And if we lose sight, sense, God forbid, that we are godly creations, we lose everything.
If I would, I'm sorry, this is
Yes, go ahead.
the devil's advocate. If I was in a spaceship,
That would be a devil's advocate, it's true. Go ahead.
if I was in a spaceship,
Right.
space with
Right.
everything I need, it's still Hashem's will. Everything is Hashem's will. So if I was there, there would be a Ratzon also.
This is a hypothetical question.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Why is it a hypothetical question?
I'm sort of joking. Okay.
What?
Don't take it seriously.
No. This is a hypothetical question because, like you said, even if you're in space, you're in God's world. But if you were completely devoid of any contact to God's world, just being in your own little world, you don't even know that the spaceship is moving across space. You only know the walls of the spaceship. There's nothing outside. Okay, that hits a little bit more hard.
You're saying some people are in spaceships? Hypothetical spaceships?
The same question would be speaking a lot about being in prison. And it was
That's right.
Yeah, but if someone must be not by his choice, then his question could be more valid. That actually is.
What?
If someone is in prison, it's not by his choice. It means that in the end, God put him there.
That is not even addressing the question here. It's not a question how he got there. The question is, where is he? Where is he?
But now this is where that's his godly will.
Have you ever been in prison?
We're not right. That's a good question.
What with it?
I always ask this question. Ask yourself the question. Any prisoner who is a prisoner for one day, and they come to him, you have to stay here till 8 o'clock tonight. I'll let you out at 4 o'clock. He says, what do you say? No, let me stay there till 8 o'clock. Is that a concept? Is that a possible concept?
For sure it would go. He would go before. He would go whenever I can.
Regardless of what the body takes.
Yeah.
Why?
There's no question that he's in torture. I'm not asking that he's not in torture. He's for sure in torture. But
Not torture. What is the torture? What's missing? I pointed out many times, the modern prison, so to speak, the primary world, not the third world, the third world, the second world, the modern world, American world. The prison provides for normal life. You have your bed, you have your
You
possessions,
can play tennis.
and you play tennis, right? You're not in torture. You're allowed to live. You can even take walks. And yet, you strain yourself to, you have a complete strain to one be out.
I know it is so, but I'm asking why, based on what was being explained.
Because when you're in prison, your primary orientation are the walls of the prison. That is not acceptable. To do, not because it limits your whereabouts. I can't accept if I'm limited in my own home. I can't walk to the wall. I have to go to the door. It's okay. But if this is something which is a superimposed limit, this is what it's unacceptable. Because I have to be able to orient in the big world, in God's world. And if I'm severed from that orientation, it's suffering beyond description.
But this severing is done by God.
I don't know, you guys don't want to think. If you were put in prison because you committed a crime, is this God's will that you commit a crime? And be put in prison?
What if you didn't do a crime? Innocent people go to jail too.
It's not the point. It's not the point.
Thank you, Yitzhak.
We're getting there.
Okay, let's go inside. I'm starting again at the end of the fourth line. As the inyan of Ratzon. Why does it say inyan again? Because Ratzon is not an identifiable quality. It's not an isolated koyach. You can engage it or not engage it. Like chochmah, you can engage it or not engage it. Or your mouth, you can engage it or not engage it. Some people don't know how to do that, but generally speaking, that's part of our choice. We have to engage it, we can engage the mouth or not engage it. But Ratzon is an inyan, which is an omnipresent presence in the soul of man. Which is only the nefesh stays intact the way it is, but it's leaning one way or it's leaning the other way.
One way up?
Leaning in one direction or leaning in the other way. This leaning does not change the nefesh itself. And yet, it's an internal leaning. He leans towards it. He's seeking to it. He's interested in it. Even though he remains intact the way he is. That's Ratzon. Believe. Believe shum idea klal mi-ha-taam. without any knowledge or awareness of any reason, of any cause for this meaning. Why are you drawn to this? There is not a cause for it. This is a, so to speak, a nefesh element. Like the example that we gave, but the example itself needs for us to think into it. The inyan that we want to be in the real world, even though everything is satisfied, all our practical needs, functional needs are given to us, are there, without any effort, and yet that does not take the place from real living. There is not a knowledge of the reason of why this is so. However, even though it's not a knowledge, that is a fact. It's an undeniable fact. This is what the nefesh is. And this is what the nefesh is so thoroughly and so completely, there is no way you can substitute for it. For example, we went into this deeper now. What do you experience when you walk out in the streets? You're a free man, you can walk any place you want. There is inevitably some kind of experience associated with it. You look out, like you say, you look up at the sky, you look up on the landscape, whatever you see, whatever you're able to observe and experience as you are going, utilizing your freedom of maneuver. If you were given a substitute for it, you were able to see the sky and see the space, the landscape, everything is here. All your experiences are provided for. Would that be a substitute for being free in the outside? It would not be. Why not? Because this will to be in this reality is not based on any time, any experience, but any experience. mi-ha-taam. U'k'nei as is known, the amit is Ratzon, that the truth of Ratzon, who it is she'ein lo shum siba klal. It is that which has absolutely no cause. It is the essence, the life force of the nefesh itself. Rak, except, sheroitze, he wants, mitzad ho'etzem levad, due to the etzem itself. The etzem is such an entity that has this, that wants. That's a true etzem. Etzem has a will. V'yesh Ratzon, then there is also a higher and deeper in of Ratzon, sheyesh boi tainuk. A Ratzon that inherently contains an animal of tainuk. Shehu sibas a Ratzon, where the tainuk becomes the cause for the Ratzon. V'yesh b'Ratzon, but there is also in Ratzon she'ein boi tainuk gamki, a Ratzon that does not contain even tainuk.
Tainuk is pleasure.
Tainuk is pleasure. It's a tainuk delight, satisfaction. Yeah, we translate pleasure, but this is a much lower. This is, so to speak, a practical, a functional tainuk.
Delight.
Huh?
So
Delight is something else. Delight is that which gives a person personal satisfaction. Not due to the taste, not due to the experience, but on a personal level.
Not due to the taste,
Not due to experience. Huh?
but on a personal level.
I'm sorry?
Not due to the taste, not due to the experience, but on the personal level.
Oh. Okay.
What is it at?
It's interesting.
So then,
The reason we cannot directly understand this, even though we are in it, and we live with it day in, day out. The reason for that we are unaware of it, what it is due to the fact that it comes to us unawares. It comes to us without awareness. It is given to us. This is how God created human being, the nefesh.
oh, so there is delight in Ratzon, but it comes from Etzon.
Yeah,
Is that what it's saying?
yeah. I mean, it says there are levels in Ratzon. There's a Ratzon that has AYIN, delight in it. That the delight is the cause for the Ratzon, and then there's a Ratzon that is inherent in nefesh that doesn't even have delight.
That should be even higher.
It depends how you look at it. Inside the Ratzon, it's a higher Ratzon, but inside the nefesh, the AYIN is higher than Ratzon.
But this comes from the Etzon. So what could be higher?
The AYIN also comes from Ratzon, from Ratzon.
Oh, woke up too late.
Okay, next slide. B'hainu, which means to say, shein loy shum tam klal, that he does not have any reason klal altogether, at all. Ve'ein tam le'etzem harotzon, that because there is not a reason le'etzem harotzon, to the essential rotzon. The Rebbe is going a little bit back and forth in circles for good reason. First, he speaks at the common thought process. Then he shows you this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something deeper, and yet deeper. And step by step, he draws your attention to what he's actually talking about. Ein tam, Ratzon is one. Ein tam le'etzem harotzon. Yes, sir.
Can I interrupt the question?
Yes.
Your two examples of Ratzon that we're talking about, the
No,
Ratzon
no.
to be alive, and the Ratzon
One second. Go ahead. Can you hear it? Okay, go ahead. Try
Can you
again.
hear me at all?
Ah.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
That's better?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you have two examples so far of this essential Ratzon. The Ratzon to be alive and the Ratzon to participate in the world. Is there a Ratzon?
One second.
This kind of
One
Ratzon.
second. I have to stop you, although what you said is correct. But it's not really correct. Because the Ratzon to live is not to be alive, but to live. To be alive is in contrast not to be alive. To live has no contrast. I had to put it in, whether we are able to focus in on this difference. It's a difference. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question was, is there such a thing as a Ratzon pashut, in other words, without any tapatas, that is more specific than these that we described so far, which are sort of Ratzon generated to live, to participate in the world? Is there such, can a person have a Ratzon, with this hatoya, but that's the more specific thing than that? It's still not connected at all with being satisfied or fulfilling a need or something like that. I have some,
You gotta talk into your phone.
You're
Laura.
not talking into the phone.
You lost me?
Yes,
Talking to the phone.
talking to the phone. A general remand over here.
I'm talking as close as I can to the mic.
No, this is good.
Now you are.
This is good. Now you are.
Okay. So I'm asking if there's a more specific Ratzon that's still not connected to satisfying any need. I'll give you an example. You tell me if it's completely wrong. A person is drawn to a certain occupation, a certain mission in life, a certain involvement. He could do something else also. It doesn't need to be this. It has nothing anything to do with his kishraynes and what he needs for parnasa. This is what he feels drawn to do. Is that also a Ratzon Pashut without a Tam?
This is a Ratzon Pashut, which is based on a bigger Ratzon Pashut.
Which is?
And this Ratzon Pashut, this narrower Ratzon Pashut, the reason that he has that Ratzon Pashut is due to the fact that this connects it to the bigger Ratzon Pashut. This is his means of connecting to the bigger reality.
Okay.
Except
So
that
this connects back to his wanting to be here,
that's right.
participating rather
That's
than in the space capsule.
Absolutely. Except that he, because of his nature, he connects better through these means. But the value of these means is not the means themselves, but because it connects him to this reality.
But it still doesn't have an explanation.
It still doesn't have an explanation.
Right, okay.
Okay, I'm just repeating the words that we said in the middle of this line. The line begins with Hainu. But the little mem vav over there, samach vav, the AYIN le'etzem harotzon. There is not a reason for etzem harotzon, for the essential rotzon. Here the Rebbe adds the word etzem, and as we explained, the word etzem alludes directly to the fact that this is a godly creation. World does not create anything essential. World has a cause and effect, has a process involved in anything that it creates. Etzem is only in the God's purview. The simple illustration of this principle, just 2 words. A person builds a table. He does not build a table. He builds piece by piece, and it results into a table. But then there is in the nefesh, the Rebbe does not create a human being by creating hands and feet and then put a head on top of it. He created a human being in totality, one entity. And every part of it is included in that one creation. This is what a human being is, what God created. I pointed out, if a person has a blemish in his little pinky, a toe pinky, he's a babu. It doesn't affect his function at all. Well, this is not what God creates. God creates a perfect entity at all levels. This is called essence. And here we are going to interrupt. I hope that we had some valuable insights today. Have a great day. Shmuel.